Chapter 3, Tokyo Tower Trouble. I was skipping ahead of the two slow pokes. I wonder what they're talking about. They're too serious. They need to lighten up. So that's what you're really here for? Why didn't you tell me in the first place? Yuji asked. I believed that more than you being her boyfriend. He didn't quite understand Shintaro at first, but he took it seriously and believed him, even if they were talking about demons, dragons, and the supernatural. As if this is normal. After all, we are talking about my sister. Nothing has ever been normal for her, Yuji thought with a slight smirk. It's a little more complicated than that. It is not that she is the daughter, but she has to fight. I am only here to help her unseal the powers and fight against the demons who plan to destroy this world. The rest is up to her. I will be with her for as long as I can and help her with the paths she needs to take. I can only go so far. Shintaro trailed off as I stopped and faced them. You guys really need to lighten up. Here, I got these for you. I smiled and handed them lollipops. I got my favorite flavor, watermelon. I stood between Yuji and Shintaro hand in hand as we walked on. I had a feeling I cheered them up, and they both laughed at my innocent youth. We finally made it to the tower. It was a beautiful sight, especially with the long rows of cherry blossom trees in the front. The leaves were golden brown and oranges and yellows, nearly naked. Ironically, it was like they were fighting the change into winter. A few petals remained here and there. I took a picture of the tower with the trees, and we went off the sidewalk onto the grass, the sun now to the south of us. I wonder what Yuji and Shintaro were talking about earlier. When will I have to tell him the truth? It's somewhat hard to hide everything from Yuji, but I guess it's for the best. Shintaro knows what he is doing, and I have to trust him, even if he is a stranger. We took the elevator all the way up to the top. Yuji took one side of the tower, Shintaro at the other, and I stood alone in the center of both. I leaned against the railing and stared at the sun behind the thin layers of the puffy white clouds. I took some pictures of the scenery earlier, but for the remainder of the time, I just stared at the beauty and peace around me. It felt somewhat lonely. Life, as I know it, will change from here on out. It was a foreboding thought that haunted me. May I ask what you're thinking? Yuji asked, placing his hand on my shoulders and stood behind me. Nothing really, I answered with a small smile. We got a nice day today, he added. It is. I turned and hugged him. Thank you. For what? He looked at me puzzled. For making this happen. Do you really have to leave next week? I pouted as I bounced on my heels. Yeah, sis, I've gotta. I only have a 10-day vacation. I wish I could stay longer, but that's the way it is. I want to stay here with you, but we have to find a way to raise more money. Our parents' inheritance isn't going to last very long. After I finish school, I'll come back and spend more time with you. I promise, he answered and patted my head. Then I promise that I will be here waiting for you when you return, I replied and hugged him again, watching Shintaro walk toward us from the corner. Thank you, I mouthed to my guardian with a smile, and he replied with a nod and blew a kiss. I grabbed my camera and took a picture of Yuji and Shintaro giving each other rabbit ears and sticking their tongues out. Yuji took a picture of Shintaro holding hands with me, and then one of us just standing side by side in cool poses, as if we were superstars. Then Shintaro took the camera and snapped one of me and Yuji giving each other rabbit ears, and another one with me standing on Yuji's shoulders, holding both of our arms as high as we could. Then I set the timer on and placed it on the railing, rushing to stand between Yuji and Shintaro. The light flashed, and the film rolled back. That was the last picture. What will we do now? Yuji asked as I placed the camera back around my neck. I looked over at Shintaro, who looked very uneasy. His eyes narrowed and bounced around as he peered into the distance after sliding his sunglasses off. What's wrong? I asked while scrunching up my nose, trying to see what he could see. Let's go. We shouldn't linger around here, he answered briskly. He grabbed my hand and we went down the tower elevator with Yuji close behind. I could sense Shintaru's fear for our safety. After we reached the bottom of the tower, he took off on a run, taking Yuji and me with him hand in hand. What is it? I asked between breaths, but he still wouldn't answer me. We stopped running and let go of each other's hands. I gasped as Shintaro dodged a bullet that grazed his left shoulder. Ahead of us on the cherry tree sidewalk was a 5-pointed star within a compressed circle, glowing fiery and bright. Multiple etchings of robed men with magical staves appeared within the star. I took notice that the area around us was empty and deserted. No one was around, not even the pigeons or squirrels. A magic circle, I whispered with another gasp. A calling circle, Shintaro corrected, standing before Yuji and me. Another bullet shot, but Shintaro caught it in his hand. He opened his fist and let the bullet fall to the ground. His eyes continued to bounce around, looking for the attacker. Get down, he shouted. Yuji and I fell to our knees and hands, dodging the first volley of bullets, as Shintaro threw his hands up before him. Waves of blue and white light flew from his palms, creating a shield that blocked the rest of the bullets. I glanced ahead, noticing a figure standing in the center of the calling circle. The man was dressed as a priest with a long red cape and the traditional white-robed outfit. The hood shadowed his face. He held a golden multi-hooped staff, glowing as bright and fiery as the circle he created. Sparks of green and purple flames emerged from the circle, creating shadow figures of the red-caped men at each pointed edge of the star. The copy staves glowed and added more bullets in the next volley. The shield around us weakened. We've got to make a run for it, Yuji yelled out. I gasped as a magic circle formed beneath our feet. A fiery sword crossed with an emblem of flame glowed at the center of the circle, surrounded by a shadow of a flaming phoenix. Shintaro's body glowed a golden aura, the shield around us pulsating with his magical energy. Phoenix flame, Shintaro commanded. He threw his right fist toward the enemy, and a huge red phoenix engulfed in its own flames shot out. The phoenix screeched angrily and flew into the enemy and its shadows. The figures caught on fire and burned into ash, incinerated instantly. The phoenix died away with another ear-piercing screech as the shield around us disappeared. Yuji and I scrambled from our hands and knees and stood beside Shintaro, panting and out of breath. The calling circle's image wavered and disappeared in a puff of smoke. What was that all about? I asked. A priest. They're human hunters. They are daylight agents. Demons and vampires and other nocturnal demons come during the night as night agents. Come, we are not safe here, Shintaro answered through his panting and walked away. They will be sending in reinforcements soon. My magic won't go unnoticed. Yuji and I followed, not wanting to invite any more trouble. It was safe on the way home, though it remained silent and deserted. We entered my house, closed the door quickly, and locked it. We kicked our shoes off along with our coats and sat in the living room table. A priest? I thought they were peaceful people, Yuji continued, breaking the bubble of silence. This priest is from a different world. Nothing is what it seems. Like the others, they're... Shintaro groaned, his hand grasping his shoulder. He fell to his knee and tore open his shirt. There was a poisoned bullet lodged in his shoulder. The skin around the wound turned purple and black, and it looked like it was decaying. He fell unconscious before he could utter another word. Yuji kneeled over him to check his condition. Shintaro! Shintaro, wake up! I cried. Go get me the first aid kit and some hot wet towels. I'll have to remove the bullet, Yuji ordered. I ran off to get all the necessities, then came back to Yuji and handed them to him. Don't die, Shintaro. Please, I need you here, I whispered and looked away as Yuji began the procedure. I woke later that night to Shintaro's glowing eyes. I hugged him, and he squeezed me back with a smile. I swung around and hugged Yuji, thanking him for his expertise. I'm glad he's studying to become a doctor. Shintaro hugged me again and apologized for scaring me. Hey, don't cry. I'm still alive, Shintaro whispered, his soothing voice immediately calming me. Don't scare me like that, I whispered and lightly punched his chest. Sorry, Nyoko. I won't ever scare you again. I promise, he whispered in my ear, wiping the tears away from my face with his thumbs. I will never leave you. I will protect you as long as I can serve you. You don't have to worry anymore. I promise I won't die without your permission. He rubbed his forehead against mine and kissed my cheek. It was hard to stay mad at him, even for a little while, because of his simple charm and his happy aura, especially his smile. Okay, I whispered back, despite the fact that I still wanted to cry. We looked back at Yuji, who had some questions to ask. Shintaro explained the situation over and up to date on what happened. So far, everything had made sense, but the reality of it was hard to accept. We ate dinner and talked some more. So that's it? Why can't you do it? I asked Shintaro, my nose scrunching at his explanation. Well, I'm no priestess, and I don't have the kind of power you do. The power must be, female in nature. You must unlock the power within you and release your mother spirit. You're the only one who has the potential to defeat Orain, he explained. He placed his arms behind his head, leaning against the wall. You might as well go to bed now. It is late for you, Shintaro added, and I felt a little hurt at his dismissal. Good night, I whispered and walked up to my room without rebelling. You might as well go too. I have an errand to run. I'll be back before you know it. Make sure the doors and windows stay locked. Good night. Shintaro got up and walked out the front door, closing it behind him. Yuji sighed and shook his head. Be careful. End chapter 3.